Today we're making woodland decor. Keep watching! I'm Brandy and this is Making It My Own DIYs. We're going to start off with an easy evergreen swag. Well, I thrifted some of this beautiful ribbon. It's got little jingle bells on it, but you can make this with some burlap ribbon and some hot glue. I've got a little strip of burlap ribbon from Dollar Tree. This is a stake from one of their yard signs. It's about 18 inches long. And then I have 3 of these pieces that I thrifted. You can use Dollar Tree picks. However, if you are going to do that, you might want to go with 6 picks instead, just to give you the fullness. All right, I'm going to be using my staple gun and some pipe cleaners as well. I'm going to put the ugly side of the stick outward, the one with the little damage on it. And then I'm going to put these down in 3 different places. So the one in the middle is actually going to be almost in the center, and then one will be about 3 inches down, and the other one would be about 3 inches up from the bottom. So we'll have 3. We're going to take our branches. They'll be flat on one side, and then we're going to turn all the pretty sides upward. So the flat parts will be downward, and the pretty sides will be upward. Make sure that you check your pine cones too, to make sure none of them have big holes in them or crunched up and damaged. You know, you want everything to be pretty and high-end looking. Just because we do this on a budget does not mean we want it to look cheap, right? Right. Okay, so we're going to face these picks downward. And an easy way to get these to stay on without having to use glue is to use the support that's already in the branch to help you hold everything together. So we will take our pipe cleaners and just thread them through 2 of the outer pieces of that little branch. So it will support the weight of the branch. It'll hold it here and it won't slide off. If you were just to put the straight pick part on there, you would need glue to help hold it because it could slide out. Does that make sense to you? You see what I'm saying? Alright, so we're going to do the same thing. I'm just going to twist the end right in the middle, just so that stays out of the way and it doesn't twist from side to side. Then we'll fix the other branch, get it all pretty sides up, kind of spread it out just a little bit. Oftentimes they come kind of crunched up, but you know, pull those out, let them show in all their glory. And then we'll do the same process. We're going to go up between 2 of the outer pieces and then push it down, give it a twist, wrap it to the back, and twist it on the back. Simple enough, right? The last pick, or if you're using 6 pieces, the last 2 will go right on top. If you start on the bottom, they'll layer down nicely. Look how full and beautiful this is already. It's making a very nice show for us. Then we'll do the same thing. See, this is so easy. Isn't this easy? It's such a great way to make an impact on your door. If you're going to put it outside, if you have double doors, you could do 2 of these. That would be beautiful. If you have lamps or lights outside of your door, you could hang them from there as well. Or you could put it in your house. Same little twisty twist to hold everything in place. And then I'm going to take this stem, hold it, and push the edge right over. You can always clip yours off if you want to. The wire is very thick in here, so I decided not to cut it. I'm just going to bend it around. Now the top branch that we have up there, I'm just going to take the pipe cleaner, twist it on itself, and then twist the little tails around the sides. And that's going to be a hanger. And the hanger will be low enough that you are not going to see it when we have it placed on our door or wall, wherever you want to put it. You can go back in and clean up the extra, take off your little end pieces here, give them a little extra twist just for luck, and then push the wires down. If you're concerned about this scratching your paint or your wall, you can add a little hot glue over those tips of the wire that might be sticking out, and then that'll make a little buffer there so it won't scratch. Alright, so I went ahead and took a wider, this is a 4-inch burlap ribbon, and the weave is a lot tighter. So I went ahead and put this one on first, just to cover everything up. To kind of hold it also onto the stem that we put it on, just to give it a nice kind of look here and to keep everything secure. And then you can add some staples on the back side, not the front. We don't want anybody looking at that. Trim it off. Now this doesn't have to be cut perfectly because we're going to put another layer on here. This is my unwired jute or burlap ribbon from Dollar Tree. Put it on top, protect your fingers, or use a spatula or something to push it down. I had my clippers there, so I went ahead and used them. And then you're going to firmly twist that around. Make it nice and tight up to the top. I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue in the inside where I put the thicker burlap, and I just have clips on it to hold it together. And then I'll add a little bit of hot glue to finish this off. All your finished sides should be in the back, not the front. And then to keep it tight, you can use little clamps to hold it in place. I use my Dollar Tree clamps. So far this is how it looks, and if you enjoy the look by itself, you can certainly do it just like that. I knew that I wanted to incorporate the ribbon. I love this ribbon. I think it's beautiful and rustic and woodlandy, and I knew it needed to be here. These need to be together. So I am just deciding what type of bow that I want to put on here. Now, bows are not for everyone. You certainly don't need it, but I think for holidays, having a little bow gives it a little something extra, and it gives a little movement. When the wind blows, it's just pretty. I love that. I'm all about the swaying branches and the leaves falling and, you know, all the other good parts of fall and winter. All right, so now I'm just going to loop it over to show you very easily how to make a bow here. I'm going to make like an awareness loop and then squish the top down into the back. You see, it looks like a Y, sort of like a Y. I'm just moving it around to make sure that I'm not clamping it over any of my bells there. I want the bells to show, so that's why I kind of finagled it around a bit. Then I'm just going to use some jute and tie it very tightly in the back, a couple of knots so nothing slips, and then I'll trim it off. Flip it over and just kind of play around with it for a minute. This gives me an idea of how I want the size to be. Now, if I had to guess, I would say that the loops on both sides of that smaller, of the bow that I just made, is going to be like a 6-inch loop. The one I'm going to put on top of that is going to be more like a 5-inch loop. So we're going to go, you see here how we're going to go downward in sizes, and the smaller, the further toward the outside of the bow, the smaller the loops are going to be. But it makes a pretty look. Now, if you have a different type of bow that you like to make and you want to use that, you can certainly do it, or you can just use tails if you want to do that. So this is our second bow layer. And put it aside, and then I'll take the smallest one. So we did 6, 5, and 4. Now I'm going to use a longer piece of jute this time. I'm going to tie this in a double knot, and then we will use this long piece to attach all of the layers together. Going to nestle them right on top, turn it over, and give it a few ties. Don't you think you can do this very easily and very quickly before you have company or guests over to your home? This is such a nice look. I think that this would go actually through fall and all the way into winter until spring comes along. It really is a pretty piece, and definitely I think it would be appropriate with these colors to just have this out for Thanksgiving as well, or Friendsgiving, whatever you celebrate. So we're going to fluff out those pretty bows. And like I said, I thrifted this ribbon, but I'm sure you can find something like this at Hobby Lobby or Joann or, you know, any craft specialty stores. I'm going to get my little hanger out of the way, and I'm going to tie the bow right to the top. So it's going to be between our hanger and where we have our layers of ribbon there. Tie it off. You can use a little hot glue there just to make sure nothing comes untied if you have it out in the wind. And I do not recommend that you put anything out in the blazing sun or the freezing cold, because it can get, you know, bleached and damaged and all that. But, you know, keep it in a covered area and it'll last for you. Simple and beautiful. The next is going to be a pine cone trio. I've got a couple of different ribbons I'm thinking about using. These are little, they're some type of conductors or insulators that came off of a pole in my son-in-law's yard. And then we have some of these little berry vines, 3 colors, and then 3 pine cones that were also found on a recent walk through the woods at their house. You need something as a base, so some type of a round disc. You can use wood slices or a little wood disc. And I decided to use the little wood rounds, and I'm going to color them with some dark brown paint on a baby white. This is going to make it more of a stain so that you can still see the pretty rings that are underneath. Not necessarily something that you have to do. You can certainly paint the entire thing over if you don't want to see that. Whatever your choice is. And I'll do each one of those, and then we need to be sure that they dry, so either let them air dry or use your heating tool, a blow dryer, a fan, or just walk away and have a coffee break. Go sit outside for a little while. So I knew I wanted to use these little conductors, these pretty little insulators, and yes, I did wash them and dry them. I knew that they were going to be the base of Christmas tree. So we're going to make little pine cone Christmas trees. It has definitely been done before, but I think I'm giving you a little extra idea about how you can use it. I'm going to use some E6000 and some hot glue to put these, we're going to call these our little tree trunks, our bases, to attach them down to the wood disc. Hot glue is going to make a quick grab while that E6000 is drying for a permanent hold. You have to be sure that anything that you paint is dried first though, or it's not going to hold. If you would prefer using screws to hold something like this in place, you can do that, but the weight is not really enough where it would justify the time that it would take for me to get my tools out and to do that. So this works just fine. These are going to be easy to do also, y'all. No worries about this video. Now, you see how that looks? So pretty. I love the look of it. And look at these beautiful large pine cones. Now, we have pine trees all over our property as well, but we do not have ones that are this enormous. So my co-grandparent, the Mamaw, I'm Nana and she's Mamaw. We share a grandson together, our first grandson. And I rode with her in a golf cart where everybody else walked around and the baby was there, and we grabbed up some things for me to craft with. So yeah, we had a good time that day. Now we're going to do the same combination of hot glue and E6000 to put our cones down. Be sure when you're doing these that you try to get cones that are symmetrical and that will kind of sit flat and stand up nice and straight. If you don't, you'll have to do a little more wiggling around to get it to sit where it needs to, so that it won't fall over, because the weight of the cone can tip it if you don't have the right fit. Now look at this one. It's really cool. The bottom of it is almost cupped, so it's a perfect little place for you to put that, what we're calling our tree trunk, right down in there and help hold it in place. I really didn't want this to come out, so I just added a little extra glue. And they're still standing, y'all. They're still standing. Here are the 3 of them. I'm going to make sure that even though they're not standing up completely straight, that put the fat side outward, or the pretty side outward, and the flatter side toward the back. We're going to use these as garlands around our trees, and I'm just trying to decide which one I want where. I want to show you all of these just to give you an example, and then one of these I will tell you that I didn't really care for the coloring with it. I don't think it showed very well, so totally up to you what colors. They come in all different kind of colors. You could even use green here if you wanted. Now I made a loop on the end and then pushed it down. You can use a little hot glue to hold it in place. I am loosely wrapping this around, and because it's on wire, you can make it hold its own shape. and then use a dot of glue here and there just to hold it to the outside, because if you pull it tightly, it's going to go into the inside of that pine cone and practically disappear. And since we want this to look like a Christmas tree, we want the decoration to be on the outside, right? If you chose to use something like little string lights or something here, you could certainly do that too. I'm just not a big fan of having a big box with the battery in it where you can see it. I like all that to be sort of hidden, so I just left that out and then decided to use some candles, some flameless candles with the little decoration set up. So just a few dots of hot glue here and there to make sure that it stays on the line where I had it and where I want it. And just patiently holding it in place for just a moment until the glue has a chance to sit up and grab. Just takes a little extra time, and you remember what I told you, little extra time does not mean it's harder to do. It just, just takes a little longer. Now this is the one where I didn't feel like it really showed up enough. Had I bleached or dipped these cones, this would have been beautiful. This strand has like a very deep red and a burgundy color on there. Very pretty together, but because it's so dark and the insides of the pine cone are so very dark, also they kind of disappear. But I've got a way of fixing that. So I've already done the gold one here, and we're going to embellish the top with some more pine cones. Why not? So these came from a bag of scatter that I got from Dollar Tree a few years ago. They still make it, and my trees, I have seen this recently. So you can certainly pick something up like this. I know they have some with snow, and maybe they have some small ones that don't have snow. I'm not entirely sure. Only ones I have the snow look on them. These are going to be like a tree topper, and I'm just going to make a small little bundle up there on the top. I'm just putting them here and there where they fit together. I think it gives it a pretty little look, especially with the white trunk that we have made there. You see, that's just so dark, but I thought, hey, okay, for this tree, let's use these pine cones inside the big pine cone to give it some decoration and to really give it a better look. So they're going to be a little different, each one of them, but I still think that put together in a trio, they make an interesting look. And using baby pine cones with the big pine cone, I think it turned out really nice. You'll have to tell me what you think though. And I'm just placing them here and there, just as you would when you were decorating a Christmas tree. Making sure that you don't have too many too close together or right side by side. And just kind of look here and there, turn it from side to side, and decide how many that you want to put. And they're so small, they just nestle right down. Pine cones also are, I wouldn't say flexible necessarily, but you can move those woody pieces around a bit so you can get the look that you're going for. And then of course we have to do the top. So I put one of the bigger ones on the top, and we're moving on to the one with the white. And we'll put a little cluster on the top of that one also. Right in the middle of the top of the pine cone is one little piece that sticks up like a short little branch or a short little stem, and then there's a little dip and the little cone pieces start. So it makes a great little place to just nestle those in there together. And I love these three. I think they're very cute, simple, easy to do. These were easy and so inexpensive because I barely paid anything. Stuff I already had. And then the stuff that I got, out of the woods. And it's got some good memories because we, as a family, went and found those pieces. And my son, he was really big in finding the pieces. He was going everywhere. We had to keep stopping the golf cart because he was, hey mama, look at this. Hey mama, I found another one. It was a lot of fun. I love when the kids can help. So this beautiful satin ribbon from Dollar Tree, I knew this had to go on the tree that had the reddish colored twine around it. If you can't find the berry vine or you don't like it, you could always use some type of jute or colored jute to go around it. You could use a really thin tinsel. You can use a ribbon to go around your tree. Just take the videos that I give you and the crafts that I do as inspiration and make it your own. And I think that's really cute. Some more Dollar Tree ribbon, and this is just sort of like a linen, looks sort of burlap colored. It's just a natural color with gold trim. I'll make a little bow for that. Then you can dovetail your ends, or you can cut them at a slant. You can leave them long, or you can wrap them around the tree, or you can just make them short and put them up towards your topper section, like I'm doing here. And I put that one on the one with the gold. And then I've got some of this, it's like cotton cord. It's sort of fragile. There's only, you can see how it looks. There's only just a little bit left on the roll, so I'm working with that. I just doubled it over. It's about probably 14 inches per strand, and I have 2 strands. I'm just going to make a shoestring bow. Wrap those together and pull them gently, because if you pull too hard, this will just come undone completely. So I'm trying to be careful. I'm usually kind of tough on my ribbons, but being very careful. And this will make a little doubled bow look. I think it's pretty too with the white. And then I'll just cut my ends. I initially cut them even and put them on the top here. You can fluff out your 2 different layers of ribbon so that you have where it looks like it's 4, and I put it right toward the top. And then pull my little ends apart, and I decide to cut those at different lengths just to give it a little more interest. And I do that on both sides. It's a very, to me, like a more natural look. Very woodland and country. I like it. You can watch my videos Mondays and Thursdays. I'll see you there. The next is going to be a greeting card ornament. This little tag is from Dollar Tree. I've got 2 sticks, a little Adirondack white paint and a brush, a variety of ribbons, a glue stick. This is my lovely purple glue sticks that I love to use, and a card that I got from the thrift store. Use any card you like, y'all, any card you like. I'm gonna take that staple out, throw it away, and save this for another project. These are kind of rough around the edges, and they're not very smooth, and I want a nice smooth surface with no lumps and bumps, so I'm going over it with my little sander, which came from Dollar Tree. I'm gonna go around my edges and on both sides. Instead of using the side with the slat look, I'm going to use the flat back side and paint it white. I'm gonna wipe off my little sawdust first. Don't want to muddy up my paint. Love chalk paint. It dries quickly and it gives a good coverage. I'll dry it. And I'm going to address the card over here. So I'll take the back section off of the card. I do not need that, but I can save it for other things. I'll use some walnut paint to go over the edges where my paint overlapped. You don't have to, but I just like to do that. And then I'll choose what position I want this to be on this ornament. I'm taking my vanishing purple glue stick and I'll go all over this section. No need to put it all the way to the top because it is not going to reach up there. And then I'm making sure that it gets on the edges and that I'm not leaving any lumps in there. You can see it starts to fade. And then I'll place the card down where I get the best part of the picture. The most part of the picture I want to capture anyway. And I love this little watercolor look, and it's really pretty. I've got my Mod Podge squeegee, and I'm just going to go kind of toward the middle and outward, or at least take all of the strokes outward in case there are any bubbles or lumps of glue that will push them straight out the edges and I can clean it up. And I want to be sure this card does not come off, so I am really working on it to keep it in place. You can go around the edges too, just a little, to push down to make sure that it's grabbing that glue. Just an extra step, not something you have to do, it's just something I like to do. I'm going to go around with my scissors and trim off the excess. You don't have to make it completely flush because we're going to fix it. And then if you knock anything loose when you're trimming it here, just go ahead and take your squeegee and go back over the top to make sure it's flat. Give it a little time to dry, and then you can grab a piece of sandpaper and just start sanding downward and outward to get off any little edge pieces that you need to take off. Very easy to do. I do this all of the time. I'm keeping my thumb over the card just to make sure if anything slides, I'm catching it so I can put it back, but it never moves. In my experience, it has not moved yet. Look how pretty that is by itself. But you know, I've got to embellish it. I've got to fool around with it. So I'm choosing a branch, and I'm going to choose some pine cones to add to it. Now these pine cones have a little paint coloring. It looks like paint on them, but I decided to make these brown. So if you decide to go with a brown theme and all you can find are the white ones, grab some dark brown paint and a rough or a stiff brush. Just dab into it, take a little off, and just color right over those spots. You can change the color of that pine cone. If you wanted to paint these gold, you could. If you wanted to paint them silver, you could. You can paint them. We can change things, can't we? Just takes a little extra time, and they'll dry, and then you'll get the look that you're going for. Just wanted to show y'all that. Don't feel too limited by what you have at your own stores. All right, I am going to add a little glue, and this is going to go on the edge of the card. Pressing this stick down in there. This is the one that I chose. I like that it's a little curvy stick, and it almost looks like pine, and I like that. I'll add some hot glue and put the pine cones on. I'm just going to kind of arrange them in an order that looks like I might find them if it fell on the ground. I grew up in the country and I live in the country now, so I'm kind of familiar with these things, but if you don't know, don't be stressed by it. You just do the best you can, okay? Just do the best you can. And if you ever need reference, just Google pine branches or pine trees, or, you know, and that'll give you an idea if you just need to have that in your mind when you do it. So I'm taking the brush and I'm just going to go over the edges here just a little bit to kind of, you know, keep that rustic look going. Now I've chose my dark brown, very thin ribbon here to make a hanger for the back of this sign. I had some other options, but I just chose to use this one. It's a little more simple considering what we have going on in the card. I don't feel like I need anything more than this for it. I'm going to add hot glue. Slide the knot into the hot glue and then go right over the top of it. And then by adding just a little slip of scrap paper, you got everything held in place. Now once I looked at it, I thought, let's go ahead and grab the last little piece of this little branch that fell off of the other pieces I did the swag with. I'm just going to use 2 little pieces of it to go on here. These also can be painted. They're just green like a rubbery plastic. They could be painted if you wanted to change the color, but I'm fine with it like it is. And I'll place them wherever. Everything doesn't have to be symmetrical, right? And look, y'all, be proud of me. There is no bow in here. Isn't that wonderful? It didn't need it. I think it looked perfect just like that. I want to take a quick moment to say thank you to all of my subscribers and to all of my members who make these videos possible. Thank you for all the support that you've given me in a little bit of downtime that I desperately needed. I appreciate that more than you will ever know. I believe in you, and I know that these are things that you can do. I really want you today to take the word joy to heart. Please find some joy in your life. Come to my channel. I'm going to encourage you. I am going to boost you up. I'm going to give you as much love as I can over the airways, you know? I'm going to try to make you believe in yourself. I'm going to try to show you how valuable you truly are. And I want you to know that you matter no matter what happens, okay? You really do. These projects are easy to do, and I know somebody out there is going to duplicate at least one of them. Is it going to be you? And which one are you going to do? Subscriber Appreciation Month is just a few days away, y'all. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. Thank you so much for stopping by and spending some time with me today, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.